Welcome to the podcast From Stress to Success Blueprint. I'm your host, Lolita, and today is a 101st episode. I cannot believe I already did 100 of them. If you're new, thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are visiting me again, a returning listener, thank you so much for your support. So, today I'm going to continue talking about different stresses that happen in our relationships. And relationships I'm talking about is not necessarily only the intimate relationships or only the family relationships, but also could be that has to do with your friendships, your being a coworker, a neighbor, a investment partner, all kinds of relationships. Okay, so the particular today, I want to address the stresses that can come when there is doubt, insecurity, fear about making commitment for the future plans. What does that mean? So, overall, we humans, and probably a lot of animals really, like the safety and security when they know specifically what's going to happen next. I think that's a lot of fears and worries come into play when we don't really know what tomorrow is going to bring. But here is a stress that can happen in the relationship with another person if there is this no commitment about the future. And it's very difficult because it's not like you don't know what's going to happen in your life that has to do with you and your planning. It is not the lack of you not really taking care of your own future, and it is really in your hands. It has to do with the other person. So it could be even worse because first, you may assume that maybe they will take care of it. But if you don't really see the action steps that are being made and that other person is not really committing to the future plans, that is very stressful. And the first time, obviously, I dig deeper into this when I started dating again after me being divorced. And that not knowing what's going to happen, or even worse, seeing that the other person that I was thinking I was in a meaningful relationship was not really committing to more, or even any plans, not necessarily like, oh, let's get married kind of thing, but even for the weekend, like, hey, here's the weekend coming, let's commit to meeting up. They were nowhere to be found when I asked this question, or they just kind of answer vaguely, or don't even want to talk about that. Now, that is stressful. That even can put extra strain on the relationship because you don't really know, can you trust that person? And how much of communication can you do with that person? Especially if you in some sort of relationship that you don't even know your status. So let's say it is your spouse or your partner or somebody that you live under the same roof. Well, this is probably high probability that when you wake up in the morning, that person is going to be there. I mean, we all hope for that. Uh, that's very different commitment than, let's say, your coworker that is working today but may not be working tomorrow. They could quit. Something can happen. Obviously, life can happen. So, what is, like, how is this different from we don't know what's going to happen anyway? So, how can it is about is the other person wants to and willing to communicate with you and commit to common ground, to commit to common plans, that you will know that you're going into that future and not alone. That is the stress I'm talking about. Because when you belong to a group or you have this relationship that you know somebody has your back, then you can take care of everything else no matter what's going to happen in the future because you know you're not alone. So if you cannot come up with a plan, how are you going to get out of that situation? Somebody else maybe will come up to some sort of plan. And obviously, two heads thinking better than one in a lot of occasions, but that's a different topic for different episode, right? So here's a bigger problem that can arise. Why this is can be even stressful. Why are we even talking about this? Again, it really depends on other person. If they come from the environment where they grew up with the patterns where they saw lack of commitment and they lack and trust people because they grew up in an environment where there were not many authorities, the adults that were taking care of that child, they were trustworthy, or they broke that trust over and over and over. They may even think that, oh, doesn't matter what plan you're going to make because that may not happen anyway. Or again, like I continuously saying it, if the person grew up in the environment where they learn that their opinion doesn't really matter, their opinion actually is not welcome or even punished because it's being told like, well, why are you telling you what you feel? Why are you telling us what you think? That is not important at all, or even being even laughed at. Naturally, that child that grew up in the adulthood is not going to be very open in any conversation about anything that has to do with emotions, or even could be even very triggering if, let's say, they come from an environment where the authority figure, especially the one that they cared a lot, actually left their life or was not trustworthy or disappointed them so much that now talk about commitment in the future plans, even about the future what we're going to eat for dinner, can be very stressful for them because they don't even know how to handle this. So if you come in the relationship, it is difficult to talk about things like that. First, it's very important to identify when that situation happens and honor your own feelings and really acknowledge it that, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is maybe triggering my fear of abandonment. This doesn't make me feel safe and secure if I don't have that other person committing for, let's say, weekend plans. And then approach that person and say, you know what really would help me if I know specifically what's going to happen this weekend. And a bad and a very good conversation is to start with yourself, like in any many other things and many other conversations. When you not attacking, when you don't say because you didn't say anything, I don't know what to do, and without punishing. Well, now I made plans because you didn't tell me what we're going to do, so now I'm busy. But just communicate and say, um, I really need to know because it feels to me that we have no plans, or do we? I just want to kind of check in. The same goes for big conversations about big commitments and committing to the future vacations or committing to saving money or any other thing. It could be commitment even to going to a concert. If you're really looking forward to that and you don't know what's going to happen, that's obviously going to be stressful as well. So it goes in many situations, obviously. So, um, communication, starting with empathy and not being afraid to express yourself as well. Because, like I already said a few episodes back, communication it's very important. Otherwise, we will jump to assumptions and can make a situation even worse. Um, it's important to operate from our adult life, from our adult self that now knows that if I'm not going to open my mouth and if I'm not going to ask, um, I will fail by default. So the biggest tool for stress management is to actually go forward and make an action step. So you do not get stuck in fear and worry. And that is very controllable when your step, I mean, your action taking is controllable. So I'm very interested to hear. Uh, do you have anyone in your life that has a difficulty of committing to any plans? You know, I remember I used to have a friend. Uh, well, okay, I was about to generalize everything. A lot of, let's just say, 80% of time, when we made a plan to go dancing, she will change her mind. And but because in the past she did go dancing and she kept her word. Every time when I go dancing, I invite her to go, and I will just hope that this is the time that she's actually going to go. But it was kind of stressful because there were quite a few times when there was only me and her walking. So I would not want to go by myself. So for me, thinking what is going to be, that was a stressful situation. Um, So now I just ask people, I do not wait. And I noticed that that has to do with the communication and miscommunication and clarity and no clarity. The more I communicate with people, the more they see that they can communicate with me, and hence the relationship just gets stronger and better because we can understand each other better and see that no matter who we are, what we think, how we feel, we are opening this space for the other person as well to look into themselves and see that they are capable and they can be safe with me when I create that space for them by opening myself and showing an example of good communication. So please leave me a comment below and tell me, do you have those people in your life that they just constantly lack the commitment for any future plans? And I would be very interested to read, how did you solve that? And again, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to my channel and like what you hear and would like to hear more about it, please subscribe to it. And if you need more help with the coaching, please go to my website, Be Amazing You, and book a session with me. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Yes, we'll be talking more about other stresses in relationships.